you know, that time, that was happening to me. I'm just like, Tim, don't do this. And I was just like, no, Tim, you gotta do it. You gotta do it. One of my most important values in life is congruency. And I often talk about vulnerability a lot. So I thought, you know what, today we're gonna just mix things up. I'm gonna share with you a really embarrassing story in regards to my dating life. And you can learn a lot from this video in regards to what you should never do. And what basically got me to think about this today inside is because in my upcoming book that will be launched 9 days from now, it's absolutely crazy how fast time's flying. In my upcoming book, I talk about how dating and failing in dating because of my shyness and social anxiety background was what really got me curious into the world of personal development. And it was the first area of my life I began to reinvent because I was so lonely growing up as a shy boy who was from an ethnic background, growing up in England. Nobody wanted to be friends with me, let alone, you know, finding a girlfriend in my life. And so I was just hollow and just empty, and I tried to attract women and just kept on failing over and over. And it got to a stage in my life where I was just so desperate. I remember going online and finding like these so-called like sprays that you can spray on. Apparently it gives off like the smell that attracts women. And I read so many books on this topic, and I was trying even like magic and stuff like that. Just trying to find out these tricks and tactics, and every single one just falling by wayside. And the worst case of this was when I began to transition out of my job I had at the time because of my drug taking phase. I was working as a toilet cleaner a decade ago, for those of you who know. And I began to transition out, and I finally managed to get myself I suppose a semi-decent job, which was working in a retail store, which was a big deal for me. And it was a big deal for me working in this department store because it was a job that I managed to secure after I came out of the firstly drug taking phase, being addicted to a lot of drugs, also working as a toilet cleaner. And so I felt really proud working for this women's shoe store. Anyways, although I was very proud because of my shyness background, every day I was just a struggle. I remember going into work and in my mind I'm just like almost imagining what it could look like in terms of how confident I want to appear, but in reality I'm just there normally just shaking. Especially when a woman wants me to put the shoes on them or the pop sock on their foot, I would always shake with my hands and they'll be looking at me really weird. And the more they look at me weird, the more I start sweating with beads of sweat, stomach's churning, you name it. I used to always go into the stock cupboard. Whenever they're asking for shoes, I'd be jumping up and down. I'd be like breathing. I would be trying to get into state. I was just absolute mess. And I remember what happened was this girl started the job for the first time, who was working at this department store literally next to me. It was this store that would be selling these winter coats. And I remember when she started, I literally looked at the corner of my eye and I thought, whoa, she's quite attractive. And so every day I'd pretend I'm polishing the glass shelf where her shoes were, and I would always be glancing and just, you know, going back to what I'm doing sort of thing. And I remember one day I was just polishing and I looked at her and she looked at me back and I'm just like, whoa, let's just go back to polishing. I was just panicking. And I had this thought one day, this almost like intuitive feeling that maybe I should say something to her. And something was saying to me, she might like me, because sometimes I saw her kind of looking at me when I'm dealing with some clients. So I was just thinking, maybe I need to do it. And every day I'd go into work and I wouldn't do it. Every day I would go into work and I just kept on just stopping myself from approaching her. But then there was this one day, it was a little bit different from every other days, because I just told myself, you know what, Tim, if you don't do this, what if she, you know, leaves, and what if you just never end up finding any girl in your life? There was so much pain attached to this. I was just like, you know what, I gotta take action. So that morning, I remember I sprayed so much freaking cologne. I was just like reeking of aftershave. I made sure my suit was really nice, really pristine. I had one of those roller things, so there's no dust on me. I made sure my tie was really straight. My hair, I just put so much freaking gel into my head. And back then I had like a big hair, like mushroom head. I remember walking to work and I was just like, oh, I got this. I'm just really confident. And in reality though, in the outside world, I was just, you know, kind of like a scrawny little Asian kid just kind of walking to work. I looked absolutely shy and I felt absolutely shy, right? But I kept on playing these movies in my mind in regards to how smooth I wanted to come across. I was envisioning myself as like Brad Pitt, walking up to her and just getting her to just basically give me her number, and me just instantly grabbing her and just taking her by the hands. And I was just like playing up all these imagined thoughts, and I was just like, what's actually happening? And then I snapped back into reality and I'm just like, whoa, I'm suddenly at work. The moment I realized this is the day and I'm at work now, my heart begins to sink. And now I go upstairs and I'm on the department floor where my shoe store is, and we're just about to open the store. And it's a perfect time to approach her because there's no clients, so she's free, and I can see that she was looking at some paperwork before she was about to start her shift. And the moment came. You know that moment in your life where just time just seems to be ticking very slow? It was one of those moments. I just told myself I'm gonna do this. But the more I just kept on telling myself I'm gonna do this, the more I just felt the sweat dripping down my forehead like this. The more I felt my heart pumping out my chest from all that adrenaline. And here I was stood at the shoe department store, looking across to her, to my left. And I said to myself, you know what? I need to slowly creep up to her. That's the best solution I thought of. So I grabbed the polish spray, and I began to just basically clean all of these glass shelves. The idea was eventually I'm going to be able to clean all of the shelves where eventually she will be behind me, because my department's shelving unit goes all the way around and until it meets with her department, the section that's sectioned off. So I was thinking, oh my God, that's the best idea ever. So I grabbed the polish cloth, I grabbed the spray, I started spraying. Closer I got to her, my heart's like pumping out my chest. I'm just like, oh my God. And I got to a stage where she was literally behind me, and I could, you know, hear her just flicking these bits of paper, and just that moment had come. And in my head, I was like, okay, I'm ready for this. I'm going to do it. I'm gonna just make a stand and finally get myself a girlfriend. And I was just like, 3, 2, 1. And then I go back to polishing. And I'm just like, no, I can't do this. And I'm just polishing. And I'm just polishing so freaking fast now. It's even making those squeaky noises. I'm just like, no, Tim, you gotta do this. You can't talk yourself out of it again. And I'm just like, in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna count down from 3, 2, 1. And I go back to polishing. I'm like, just no, I just can't. And you know that moment you just want to take action, but that little voice, that holds you back every single time you want to take action. You know, that time, that was happening to me. I'm just like, Tim, don't do this. And I was just like, no, Tim, you gotta do it. You gotta do it. And I was just like, okay, 3, 2, 1. And I turn around and she's there. And I start taking these steps, everything slow motion. It's like a Hollywood Matrix moment. Slow motion, I'm walking towards her. And as I get closer to her, I can't imagine the look on my face, but she looks at me a little bit concerned. She looks up and she says, hi. And I put my hands out and say, hi, my name is Tim. And then she shakes my hand, and she obviously feels all of the sweat, and she kind of like pulls away her hand, like a little bit worried and concerned. And the moment I said that, I was just like, that's too much to say. I just turned around and went back to polishing the shelf. And what's going on that moment, I said, Tim, you can't leave it on that. That's just so freaking awkward now. And so I turned around and said, you know, my name is Tim. I work at the shoe department store. And she said, yeah, I've seen you there. It's amazing what sometimes comes out of one's mouth, right? So I didn't say anything to her after that. What was a good news, however, from that experience was after that day, because I made that introduction, I finally was able to just every now and then just drop comments, every now and then ask her questions whenever there were no customers, and I began to get to know her very well. Her name was Jade. And it came to this time where I eventually got her to know so well, and I saw some form of rapport building where I decided to ask her out. And she actually ended up saying yes. And I was just gobsmacked. I was just like, what? You want to go out with me? Right? I was just checking myself in the mirror. Anyways, when we finally booked the dinner time, the time between where it's going to be booked and the day I was on, I had about 2 to 3 days until it was actually going to happen. And so every night, as an anxious person, I would be worrying. I was worrying in terms of what's going to happen. And as a result, I ended up texting my friends in regards to advice. To cut the long story short, Insider, I ended up being a man, and I ended up showing up to that dinner date like a true alpha man would do. And here she was, sat in front of me during that dinner date, and sat opposite her was me and 3 of my other friends. Safe to say, I never spoke to that girl, nor she spoke to me ever again after that date. Okay, Insider. Sometimes in life, we gotta go through the big failures. Sometimes in life, we gotta take the action. But as a great saying goes, you either win in life or you either learn. And I learned so much from this experience, and it's an embarrassing story, and I've got more embarrassing stories that I wrote about in this book with, of course, more great morals than the one I shared with you today. Because Follow Hard, Take Action is a book where I've compiled everything I've learned over the last decade in terms of how did I transition from working as a toilet cleaner to now being able to create a life of freedom and abundance. And it's broken down to the 7 secrets to living the life that you're truly born to live. Because one of the things I realized inside is your heart just knows what you should be doing that moment. When you align with that, the productivity, the habits, all of the things I talk about in here, it becomes effortless, because no longer do you have to push yourself. You're pulled towards it. So if you'd like to claim your copy of this book, Insider, on the launch date, you can grab yourself a Kindle copy. It'll only be $1.50, so it's a special promotion, and you'll get free bonuses worth over $419 as well, as a special thank you gift from me. All you have to do is follow the link above to get yourself registered to the launch event, or follow this link, which is www.successinsider.tv/book. Okay, and you'll be able to join us firstly in the private group we're all in right now, which is our launch book team group, and I'll be also sharing with you more insights in terms of what's in here, and we'll be sharing with you the bonuses and gifts on the launch day as well. So be sure to get yourself registered, Insider, like I said, by following the link above. And just want to say thank you to every single one of you Insiders who've supported me throughout this journey. I never thought I'll ever publish my first ever book, and considering how long this has taken, I'm not sure if I'm going to do another one for a long time. Anyways, Follow Hard, Take Action will be out in 9 days time. I want you to tell me in the comments box below, Insider, firstly, if you enjoyed this embarrassing story. If you want to know more, I suppose do let me know. If I have to share them, I'll do it for the greater cause, if it helps you. What's been your biggest takeaway in the comments box in regards to what you should never do? Maybe what moral did you take away? And I will leave it here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Click that like button if you enjoyed this video. And as always, follow your heart, my friend, and take action. And go live the life you're truly born to live. I'll see you on the next video soon. Take care, my friend.